Well, welcome. Nobody knows what's gone on behind the scenes here for the last few minutes, so we're all good. Stephen, really
Sure.
good to see you again. Day two. You have been working with Globital since 2016, and Globital is a resource partner that helps digital agencies confidently scale with tailored resources, personable support, and proactive advice designed to optimize and fulfill on their opportunities. Today you're going to be talking with us. I'm going to pull up so welcome, first of all. Great to have you here.
Yeah, awesome to be here, Claude. As always, I love working with you. I think what you're up to and your efforts and everything are so cool. I love being part of your community and being part of what you do. So nice to be here.
Yeah, we did a webinar yesterday talking about the 5 things you should be looking at when you're getting a referral partner. And that content, if you want it, is available in your Facebook group, right?
That's right. Yeah, cool. And it'll be up there. We'll have all the necessary links we discuss here. I'll give them to Claudia so she can share them down below.
Yeah, but today we're going to talk about, there's a lot of this happening all around the world. Trying to find a resource partner. I get asked at least once a week to recommend white label resource partners, outsourcing, agencies kind of consolidating. Some agencies in the world were forced to find alternative solutions because many of their workforce have moved on or have been moved into other areas of their life, economic situations. So today, that's what we're going to talk about, is the 5 questions to ask an agency resource partner, which is obviously your area of expertise.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's I wanted to say, like, I really love giving this presentation because it's such a common thing for so many digital agencies. And digital agencies, we have enough problems. As we run a digital agency, we've got enough problems in our lives that we don't also need to deal with the stress of, have I selected the right partner to support me from an operational fulfillment perspective?
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those, that's quite a big thing to take care of right up front, because when you make this mistake, it's fulfillment. It's where the rubber meets the road for your agency. It's where you're actually going to do the work.
Yeah.
So it's such an important thing to get right. You can screw up on choosing the wrong accountant, or maybe getting some bad legal advice. I mean, or choosing the wrong legal partner who screws you around a little bit. It's not the end of the world. It's not going to impact necessarily your relationship with your client. But if you screw up your operations and you screw up the actual fulfillment on your campaigns for your clients, it's detrimental to what you do. It's going to erode the trust between you and your clients, and it's going to affect your bottom line, your revenue. So getting this right, finding the right partner and asking them the right questions up front. Ask them these 5 questions I'm going to ask you. I'm going to tell you right now, and you will put yourself in a much better position as a digital agency to select the right person who you can just know you've got in their back pocket and move forward on the more important things that you as the agency owner need to deal with: sales, marketing, leadership in your team, that sort of thing. So I love giving this presentation. I think it's such an important one for all agencies to go through.
Cool. Well, let's get stuck
Yeah.
into it.
Let's do it. So thank you for the intro. I mean, as Clodagh said, one thing I want to point out over there, what you were saying about who is global, personal support and proactive advice, etc. I want to make this clear as well, is this is a presentation that we give and we share with agencies around the world, no matter whether they use our services or not. So whether you decide to go with us as your resource partner or you go with someone else, obviously I want you to go with us. I'm here to, we're all here to make money. We're all here to more clients. But even if you don't go with us, take what I'm going to show you right here and move forward with it seriously.
Yeah.
Use it as the advice, and we're not going to charge you anything for this. Just go forward and use this advice to your benefit. Whether you use us or not, please use this advice, because what we really care about at Globital is making sure that the digital industry is a stronger, better, more fruitful place for everybody. Not just about making the money for the bottom line for us. Obviously it is, but we care about the agencies very deeply. We care about the agencies we support. If they succeed, we succeed. So whether you're an agency we support or not, take this advice seriously and use it in your day-to-day. Use it as you select your resource partner, whether it's us or not. So I wanted to start off obviously with just discussing what exactly is white label, and discussing that it's about scale. There's definitely people in the room who are going to watch this and know that they've used a white label partner, or they've used some sort of outsourced solution, whether it's Fiverr or freelancers or something like that. That's sort of a white label solution in some form or another. But at the end of the day, It's about trust as well. Our industry has a bit of a bad reputation. The digital industry has a bad reputation. You can't swing a stick without hitting a digital agency who's tried to resource out of the Far East, out of the Near East, out of South America, and who's had a bad experience.
Yeah.
It's something we deal with all the time. Yeah, we deal with it all the time. People coming to us and saying, how are you guys going to be different? We're like, different to what? Well, I got screwed around here and this guy took my money and then I gave him a project and he just disappeared, never responded. We've got a bad reputation. The digital industry's got a terrible reputation. So we're trying our best to kind of change that and to make people feel a little bit more comfortable about that.
Nice.
Everybody's been burnt either by letting down a client or being let down or costing, etc. It's a common frustration. I mean, Claude, you probably hear it all the time from the agencies you support.
Yeah, like I've been in this game since 2008, and when I started, we were in Australia. So because of that time zone, we would work a lot with the Philippines and outsource agencies out of there and that's like, how long ago is that? That's nearly 16 years ago. So yeah, I obviously through that, I've heard all sorts of different positive and challenging situations.
Yeah, and this is what we hear all day long from agencies that we support who come to us new, and we get them moving. So it's something that we try to take care of, is that concept of scale and not expectation management and not letting them down. The other thing is about when you go and work with a white label support, it's got to be cost effective. And when you talk about scale and cost efficiency, what you're actually talking about is the style of scale as well. Like when you rely on a retail partner to work with, you probably are looking for somebody who is going to do it the way that you do it, which is quite important. You want somebody to follow your processes exactly. But in a way, you've got to, as an agency owner, kind of relinquish that control. And the expression is, you don't want to hire a guard dog and bark yourself. So you've got to relinquish control and recognize that you're working with a partner who's actually really great at what they do.
That's why you had the dogs there.
Yes. And the last thing is, it's about outcomes. The end goal for you as an agency owner is scale. The end goal, when you view this relationship as something like, the end goal is, I'm going to get an SEO campaign done for me or some blogs written for me. That's not the outcome. The outcome is about scale. It's about getting a whole bunch of very expensive and time-consuming work taken off your plate and done for you, so that you can get on with the business of running your business. So you've got to be ready to give up control. You maybe do some briefing in the beginning, and you do some quality checks at the end, but that middle piece, that time-consuming, expensive piece, is what's going to be done by your resource partner. So you've got to be ready for that. So that's just a little bit of background around white labeling, to give some context.
Nice.
Yeah. So now we can move on to, like, what are the 5 questions you should be asking? And the first question that you've got to ask, and this is, it's so funny because so few agencies actually think about this or even consider this when they're working with a retail partner, is, who are your clients? Now, we tend to, we meet this agency or this resource partner, we say, hey, you're going to help me out. That's fantastic. We tend to be like so desperate, and sometimes we're in such a desperate way. Maybe we just signed a big contract or something like that. We don't even take the time to do due diligence. And that's what these 5 questions are about. It's about asking very basic questions that are going to help, as I said in the beginning, set you up for success as you move down the relationship with this person. So your first question has got to be, who are your clients? Are they wholesale or are they retail? And what do I mean by this is, and a lot of agencies don't understand what we're talking about. Globital, what we do, and as any resale partner, any resource partner, you say retail partner, any resource partner, their clients should be exclusively agencies. That is what we call a wholesale relationship. The resource partner is wholesaling their services to the agency, and the agency is going to buy wholesale and sell it off at retail to their clients. Let's take the example of a plumber in Adelaide. That plumber in Adelaide, that is a retail relationship with the agency. Now, the relationship should be wholesale partner, agency, retail partner. So that's the relationship. The minute that you're asking this question, who are your clients? The minute that that resource partner turns around and says, oh, we do wholesale, so we support you as an agency, but we also support your clients, you're setting yourself up for a very dangerous relationship, where this wholesale retail partner that is got the resources and the scalability at their resource, you're introducing them to your end clients. Now, if they also support those end clients behind your back or around you, You're setting yourself up for a relationship potentially where they can go and poach those clients, or just start a relationship with those clients and bring them in. So it's very important that you understand who the clients are that your resource partner works for. Coupled into that is, what are the owner's interests? So who is the owner of the resource partner, and what are their interests? So it may be all well and good that they own and run this wholesale agency that supports digital agencies with resources, SEO, web design, copywriting. They do all of that for agencies. But you find out also that the owner also runs his own small digital agency, or his wife runs a digital agency. There's another conflict of interest over there, which you can't really feel too comfortable about, because you never know what's going to happen in a relationship. So it's quite important to understand who the owner is and what their interests are as well.
Nice.
You don't want them to be, you don't want them to land up competing with you. And again, Chloe, you probably sitting there going, this is so obvious, and it is. But a lot of the time, agent owners, we have so much on our brain and our plate, and we come in desperate, and we just go, just help me. You don't realize we're actually, feeding our children to the lion in a way. You're saying, here you go. The next thing you know, you've lost your clients. And then lastly, it's about focus. So why you're asking about their clients is because when you work with somebody who's simply just a contractor, so you're working with these freelancers, these guys on Fiverr and whatnot, they are resource partners. They are a resource. They're helping you out. They're a white label, and so you can pass the work on as your own. Very different to a business process outsourcing partner, which is, for example, like what we do. We see ourselves as the focus that we do. What we're focusing on is we're focusing an agency to scale. That's our focus. Freelancer, all they're doing is their focus is just getting a blog written, or getting an SEO campaign done, or building a website. That's what they focus on. So you want to know who you're actually working with, who you're getting into bed with. Makes sense, yeah? Yeah, cool. So that's the first question. You've got to ask them, who are your clients? The next question is obviously, what are your prices and why? Now, no doubt you're going to ask, what are your prices? Obviously, it's the number one question we get. It's actually one of our first things that we make available to agencies is our prices, so they can see, are we within their price range? Because there are all sorts of agencies out there. But the reality of the question, the reality of the situation here is there's no right or wrong answer about what are your prices. But what you do need to know is, what is the justification for their prices? Some are going to be expensive, some are going to be cheap, but they've got to justify it to you. Like, what are you getting for what you're purchasing? The other question you're asking is, are your resources offshore or local? So offshore, an offshore agency, like we have, our resources are offshore. The majority of our team is in Pakistan, and our copywriters are in South Africa, and we've got our virtual assistants in the Philippines. We're able to justify our pricing in that way because we're using resources in countries where the dollar is quite cheap and quite weak it's quite strong against those local currencies. If you're talking to a resource partner who uses local resources, probably their expenses are their salary expenses, their employment expenses are going to be quite high, and that's going to reflect in their pricing. So you've got to ask the question. A lot of the time, you might scratch a little bit below the surface of somebody who says, all our resources are based here in the United States or in the United Kingdom. You do a little bit of scratching, you start to find out, wow, this agency owner is actually doing a lot of the work themselves because they can only afford 2 SEO people. They end up doing a lot of work themselves. So don't be afraid to ask, where are your resources based, and how do you actually support them, and how is my work going to be done? Who's going to actually take care of it? Nice. And the other reason you're asking about their pricing and their resources is you're asking about scale. Now, a lot of the time we work with agencies from all over the world, and we work with agencies of all sizes, from the 1-man show to the 5 to 10-man show to the 100-man show. We support all sorts of agencies. If you're a 1 to 2-man show or a 5 to 10-man show, and you manage to finally land that big whale of a client, and they turn around and say, yeah, cool, we're a franchise company, we've got 50 SEO campaigns for you. And you've been using a resource partner who's been helping you with 1 or 2 campaigns, and everything's been going okay. You walk into that resource partner's office, or literally walk into their office, and you say to them, hey guys, I know you've been helping me with 3 or 4 campaigns, and life's been good, and I've been a 4 or 5 figure agency for the last while since you've been supporting, but I just landed the big guy. The whale is in. They've got 50 SEO campaigns for me. I'm ready to go. Here's my 50 campaigns. That is scale. And you want to be talking to a resource partner who's going to turn around to you and say, no problem, let's get moving. How do they scale? That's what you want to know. You want to be able to to have a definitive answer, say, if I walk in with 50 campaigns, because if they turn around and they say, well, there's 3 guys here and we can maybe bring on another, man, you're probably going to let that franchise company down with their 50 campaigns. Or worse, the resource partner is going to turn around and take the work on under the premise that we can take care of this. And a month or 2 down the line, you're going to realize, wow, these guys just don't have the resources.
I can't do it.
So exactly, you want to be talking to somebody who's got those resources and is able to scale themselves so that they're able to support you as an agency owner when you're ready to scale.
Yeah, so they always have a bench of people that they're hiring. There's a constant flow of recruitment that's going on, not oh my God, we need a load of people. There's always this flow, or there's somebody in onboarding, or there's a junior person being promoted to a senior person, and they are thinking of the recruitment internally, the progression of their team, and they have a system for that. So what's their recruitment strategy, what's their onboarding strategy, and what's their training and promotion paths, which also is something that reflects very much in agencies themselves, not just the resource partner.
100%. And just, speaking of this, don't expect that the resource partner, it is completely unjustified to be completely like, let the cat out of the bag and show you, pull up their skirts and show you everything.
Yeah.
But the fact that you're asking these questions and their responses to these questions, you're going to be able to tell if this person
should have an answer. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Even if it's not, here's everything, they'll show you, but they should have some sort of a confident answer. And Clodagh, to your point about what you're saying about the size of the teams and whatnot, we learned this in South Africa when we started years ago, and we started offering copywriting as a service.
Yeah.
When we first brought on our first copywriter, it was tough, man. We had this kind of a large salary expense that we had to justify by bringing in enough copywriting to justify this expense. As that copywriter got busier and busier, we needed to bring in a second copywriter, and then there was 2 salaried expenses that we had to take on. And all of a sudden, one of our bigger agencies started going, hey, we actually need 100 blogs every month. And all of a sudden, that meant a whole new so we started to build the copywriting team, and we went from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. And what we noticed, and this is the same thing we see in our SEO team, which is probably about 250 people in Pakistan that support all of our services. What you start to find is it's easier to go from a team of 100 to 105. And if you lose 5 people because they resign or whatever the story is, going from 100 to 95, you don't really notice it.
Right.
But going from 10 to 5, you're going to notice.
You're going to notice.
So scale for the actual agency, for the resource partner themselves, super important. They've got to have an answer. As you said, they'll have some sort of an answer. And if they don't, it's a red flag. You should be asking questions.
Nice.
Beautiful. So next question, third one, is obviously, how do they do quality control? So this is one of the biggest problems when you do, and one of the, as I was saying in the beginning, the digital industry's got a really bad reputation of outsourcing, and everybody's distrustful and all that. And a lot of it does come down to trust. You've got to ask your resource partner questions that will make you trust them. It's all about expectation management at the end of the day. So how do you control the quality? Now, how are you as a resource partner going to ensure that you supply quality and outcomes so that I can be confident that my clients are going to get what they're paying for? Now, a lot of the time, and a lot of this comes down to when you do look at some resource partners, like a lot of people look at our prices and they go, geez, man, that's not too expensive for an SEO campaign. You're going to charge me that. There's an impression that, hey, if it's that cheap, like how good is it going to be?
Right.
It's and that's why we say to people, here's $1,000 voucher. Use us for $1,000. $1,000 voucher to use it, so you can test this out for yourself without spending any money. There's a big push towards that, because in that moment of us giving them that trial, we're setting their expectations and we're showing them, hey, you've not done 2 or 3 months of SEO with us using $1,000. You haven't spent a bean of money, but your expectations have been completely met and in fact surpassed. You can see that although it's a relatively cheap resource, we only charge you X amount. We've explained to you why. We've got resources in Pakistan that do all the SEO and all the time-consuming stuff. So you've got an explanation for that. That's why we can afford to do it. You can trust us. We've given you that freebie so that you can understand. So I'm not saying that if the resource partner doesn't give you a freebie, you can't trust them, but it's about building that trust relationship.
Yeah.
You've got it. That's quite an important part of what we do. The other key thing around it is process. Process is very important as well. One of the key parts of our process, for example, so one of the key things around us, for example, is we pursued a few years ago quite aggressively. We recognized that as a business process outsourced business, process is super important, but quality control is super important. We realized that there was an absolute deal breaker for a lot of agencies. So what did we pursue very aggressively? And we went after it and we got it, was our ISO certification, which was super important in our business, because it's something we put on our website and people look and go, oh, okay, these guys, if they're getting a certification like this, ISO is not an easy thing to accomplish.
No, it isn't. No, it's very hard to get. Yeah.
Yeah. And so if they've got that, that means that they probably know what they're doing. They've probably got some good tight processes. I can at least give them a try, especially if they give me a free trial, but I can at least give them a try. They, you know, it is a real feather in our cap. The other question around process, for example, that we always make clear to the agencies is, we are the wholesaler, you are the agency, and your end client is your end client. That's who's getting the final work. We are white label. We never engage with your end clients. Again, that's that trust that they can have in us, that we're not going to go around them and start a relationship with that end client either. And we're not going to, there's no conflict of interest. But we also say to the agency, we say, we've done our work, we're great at what we do, we follow our process, first world standards, everything like that, we're ISO certified. Here is the work. Pass it on to your client. But we very much encourage you to have your own quality checks in your own process. So don't just take, because again, at the end of the day, this agency knows what that, we don't know anything about a plumber in Adelaide or a hairdresser in Miami.
Yeah.
And we don't know anything about their brand. You know, we can do the best we can, and our writers are exceptionally creative and all that. But at the end of the day, you are the agency who's responsible for that work. So build into your process off the back of our processes. That's what we make it very clear. So we kind of help the agency to build that off. And as an agency scales with us, we get more and more involved in helping them to build processes off the back of our process, which is quite key.
Yeah, cool.
The last thing about quality is obviously guarantees. Now, you can't guarantee results. I mean, everybody knows this in SEO, for example, PPC. It's very difficult to turn around and guarantee results, but you can guarantee a return on your investment. So, for example, we SEO, we don't offer SEO guarantees, but we have SEO guarantees in our business. When we turn around and we say, hey, if we don't get you to certain KPIs that we agree on in the beginning, we'll continue to work for free until we get those KPIs. Because we recognize, and I mean, assuming that you take care of all of the things that we make recommendations on, you're getting blogs written on a weekly or monthly basis, you're doing changes to your content on your website. We offer some sort of guarantee so that people can go, you know, it makes people understand that we have high standards and they can trust us. If we're willing to put our own neck on the line, they can guarantee, they can trust what we're going to do.
Love that. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, not an easy thing to do, but it's something that we make work, and we think is quite important. Then another key question you've got to ask is, how is communication handled? The way that we always say to the agencies that we speak to, the relationship that we have is not just a relationship like you would have with any other contractor or subcontractor or anything like that. We always say to the agencies we support, you've got to treat our team like an extension of your own. So if we're going to build a relationship here that starts off with you being a 4-figure or a 5-figure agency, and we're going to get you to 6-figure, 7 figures, it's about that scale, and scale is about relationship. You've got to treat our team as an extension of your own. And the way that I always put in the way I train the sales team to do it is, I always say this, I say, our team is based in Pakistan, so most of the stuff, the relationship you're going to have is going to be virtual, like the writers in South Africa, etc. So it's going to be a virtual relationship. But if you're going to treat them as an extension of your own team, that means that you've got to commit to regular communication, to rhythms, weekly rhythms, daily rhythms, and to getting back to the team when they request stuff. The example I always give is, if you are an agency that specializes in SEO, but you don't do any web design, you think, hey, there's a gap over there, I can do some web design. So you come to us and you start saying, hey guys, can you build some website? We say, fantastic, no problem. You wouldn't go out, if you're based in, let's say, Miami, you wouldn't go out as that SEO agency and hire a web designer, put them into an office in your, into a corner office in your building and say, all right, guys, let's get building some websites, and never communicate again with them.
Right.
You would, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, you probably pop your head in and say, hey guys, how you doing? How's that web design project going? You would do that. You've got to treat your resource partner in the same way. You're bringing on a resource, you're bringing on a web design team, you're bringing on an SEO team, bringing on a copywriting team. Treat them as such. You wouldn't go a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks without checking in. You've got to check in. Don't treat them like a switch on and leave solution. You've got to treat them as it's got to be an ongoing relationship. So with that comes the method of communication, which is obviously emails, which is probably the most common way to communicate these days and whatnot. But more and more, and we don't do email communication on our projects. We use tools, platforms and systems. Now, whichever one you're using, it's fine. You can use that. And we cater to, I mean, some agencies come in already existing using Slack or using Monday.com. We use Basecamp for our communications on our projects, but we can cater to the agencies that want to use, as they grow with us, want to use other communication. But that communication is so important. You've got to, and as you said, Claude, I love what you said, is they should have answers. They've got to have answers around these. If they turn around and go, oh, well, how do you want us to communicate? It means they probably don't have a process for that. I'd be wary. I'd be like, well, guys, you got to tell me how you communicate, so I can fit into. I'll work around you. It'll be easier if I work around you. And if it's not working for me as the agency, I can figure it out. But we can have a conversation. But I need to know how you do things. And then lastly, customer support, communication being around customer support. We have a 24-hour-a-day customer support team. They're there to answer questions in our portal, emails, support, whatever it is. Very important around that is escalation. With so many agencies around the world that we support, and so many, that means one agency can have 10 to 20 to 30 to 100 campaigns with us. So a lot of campaigns going on. So at any stage, anybody can email in and get in touch with our customer support and say, hey, can I have an escalation of this? I haven't heard from the team, or the team told me they get back to me, or something's going on with the clients jumping up and down. What can I do? Again, use us, don't use us, I don't care, but in fact, I do care. Please use us now.
Yes, you care.
But at the end of the day, ask your resource partner, what do they do from a customer support perspective? How do they deal with tickets and escalation processes and things like that?
Yeah.
And then lastly,
what's the system what's the system when things don't go smoothly? Yeah.
100%. Because, it's like anything in business. It doesn't always run smoothly. How do we, and everybody appreciates that. And again, that comes down to expectation management. If an agency is expecting escalation and you just don't do it, or you say you do and you don't, you're asking for trouble. So make sure you get that answer on how exactly will the relations, how will escalation and how will customer support be handled. Last question, and this is quite a key one, because, and this hopefully this also, I'd like to think that this demonstrates transparency on our part, because we are a resource partner, but we also recognize that it doesn't always go perfectly. We also recognize that, and we say this in our conversations with agencies, we also recognize that we're not the perfect resource partner for some agencies. Some agencies just don't like to work in this way. They don't want to work in a way that they treat the team as an extension of their own. They would rather use the team as a switch on and leave solution. They would rather not check in, work off Basecamp or work off the agreed upon. They would rather live in a frantic world where there's no process. That's great. Then you're just not the right agency for us, and that's fine. So we recognize that sometimes sometimes the relationship may come to an end, or you may decide to move on, or whatever it is. We may decide to move on, whatever the situation is. You want to ask your agency, your resource partner, will I get trapped? And what does that actually mean? You want to have the flexibility in the relationship for your business and for yourself, to make sure that you can make decisions that are good for your business, and not allow the resource partner to make those decisions for you. And by that, I mean that you don't want to have a situation where they're creating a trap that you get involved in, you're not able to leave. So you want to have that flexibility. You want to have ownership over everything that is yours as the agency. At the end of the day, you are an agency supporting multiple different businesses in your region, or whatever it is you're doing. You as the agency have a relationship with those clients. You enjoy that relationship, and you decide on how you deal with ownership in that. From our perspective as a resource partner, and I think that this is the way we do it, and I think it's the way that most resource partners should do it, we do not take ownership of anything away from the agency. No passwords, no credit card details. We just don't do it, because we don't want to create a situation where the agency is reliant on us. If they decide that they want to leave, it should be easy enough for them to turn around and go, hey, we're going to leave. And this is how we do it, a day or two, and we can move you on, and you can go find somebody else to support you. So ownership of accounts is super important. It's ownership of the accounts, of the reports. What it is you have to leave, or your client leaves. Like, what happens if that happens? Have a process around that, and understand how to get out of that. It's like not right, totally. And at the end of the day, it's not. We're not supporting your clients. We're supporting you. You are supporting your clients. So you've got to handle that relationship. If your client turns around and says, hey, I love what you guys are doing, but I hate what you guys are doing. I want to get out of here. We need to make it as easy as possible to offboard that client and get you out of there and help you with that. And just have an exit strategy. That offboarding, exactly, I think is a great way to put it, as an offboarding strategy. How do you actually walk away from a relationship? We don't ever want to turn around to an agency and say, hey, we got you trapped. And
Right.
if you want to, we've got to do X, Y, Z. We've got more important things to do. We've got better things to do with our lives. We want to just continue to support people. So that's it, Coda. Those are my 5 questions I think that every agency needs to ask the resource partner before they get involved with it. I think hopefully it resonates with you. I think it resonates with most agency owners that I speak to about this. And I think it's something that as I said, I encourage you to take on board. Ask the questions. Don't be shy to ask the questions and get the answers.
Nice. What's the most common mistakes that you see? Because there's always stuff that you're going, 80% of the challenges that you see with agents. What are the common mistakes or misconceptions that you're kind of seeing, obviously not naming names, what kind of things that you're coming to mind when I ask you that question?
Mistakes that agencies make, you mean?
When they're coming in, because they don't know these questions. What's the kind of common things that can happen?
I think the number one mistake is not educating yourself, not doing your due diligence before you start a relationship. And it's as simple, the due diligence you need to do could be as simple as watching this 30-minute, 40-minute presentation. That's the number one mistake, is people don't do the due diligence. Another mistake I think that agencies make is they come in with a set way of a mindset of doing things without that flexibility to recognize that, hey, I may need to, even though this agency resource partner is there to support me, I've got to understand that I've got to understand I'm starting a new relationship. So I might need to take on some new processes and work around those processes to get the best out of it. So understand, and those are the agencies that we see work the best with us, are the ones who come in open-minded, recognize that they need the support, are happy to take on that opportunity to test it out. Use the test time. It's another big mistake we see, is use the test time. We give $1,000 to agencies to test us out. You'd be surprised how few agencies actually use up to $1,000. We're saying, hey man, just use it. Like whether you end up using us or not, just test it out. Get some free blogs written, whatever it is. So do the test and understand that. Be flexible and ready enough to turn around and go, hey, these guys are great at supporting agencies. They support agencies all over the world. Maybe I should listen to them and see how they are doing it, see what their process is, and build my processes off the back of their processes, rather than trying to in and just force in your process and say, no, this is how we do things. Those are the agencies that we see scale the best and the easiest with us. And those are generally the bigger agencies anyway. They're the ones who come in and go, hey, we don't have the time to fight over which process is better. We just want to get an outcome here for our clients. We want to get more leads for our clients. If this is how you recommend we do it, we'll do it. Let's get going and let's do it. So that's one of the big mistakes that we see. The other big mistake I see a lot of the time is that concept of switch on and leave. So there's we often think of when we go to a freelancer on Fiverr or something like that, and we turn around and go, oh, cool, I found this great guy and he writes some fantastic content, so I'm just going to send him all our content to do. And you do blogs and you say, cool, I'll see you in 2 weeks. And 2 weeks later, you come back and you go, man, this is terrible. This isn't at all. That switch on and leave thing doesn't work. You've got to engage. You've got to engage, and you've got to keep an eye on communication.
See a sample, see it quickly. Don't let somebody go off and do a load of work without testing the first bit.
And I mean, a blog is an easy piece of execution.
Totally.
A blog is simple. It's a simple little brief, and you get a blog written. Think about an SEO campaign or website design. If you don't check in, if you say, hey guys, here's my brief, go create a website. If you don't check in regularly and say, hey guys, and our team does that anyway. Our team checks in and goes, hey, so and so, we've now done the sitemap, and we've done a framework for your a wireframe for your website. Can you please review it and let us know that you're happy? If you don't take the time to actually review that and just go, yeah guys, I'm happy, just get on with it, that's switch on and leave. You're just assuming that this team in Pakistan, who are great at what they do but know nothing about hairdressers in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
You are in trouble. Don't fall into that trap.
Mm.
Treat the team they're an extension of your own, because that's what you're doing. You're bringing on a team in another part of the world that's going to support your agency. Don't make that mistake of just assuming they know what they're doing,
Yeah.
because you will, listen to them and engage with them in a meaningful way.
Love it. How are the impacts of AI been on the business, and have you been getting people coming back going, oh, I can just use AI, or anything kind of from that side of things that impacting, or how are you navigating that as a business?
Yeah. So thankfully we haven't seen too much of a knock on from AI people, as you said, like kind of jumping and going, oh, I can do it just using, because I don't think the tools of AI are really there to actually afford that just yet. People aren't ready yet. But we've been quite ready for over a year. We immediately started. We created we've got a couple of products at the moment that are AI enabled. So they're 100% human run and create and used, human operated with the enablement of AI. So we've got a copywriting AI enabled product, for example, which is slightly cheaper than our human only products, because we use AI to facilitate some of the content creation. But at the end of the day, it's human beings are involved in the process from beginning to end.
Great.
So we've just been very we've been prepared, and I suppose that's our job. We've got to be prepared in advance for the AI onslaught, because a lot of people are freaking out and they're going, oh my God, what are we going to do? And we're saying, hey guys, relax. We've got you, and we're thinking about the inclusion of AI in what we do. We just at this stage, we're just keeping an eye on things, and we're just making sure that we're ready for anything that comes. It's hard. There's so many bright shiny objects at the moment, and I think a lot of people are falling.
Really distracting.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I think a lot of agencies, quite unfair in a way, because I think a lot of agencies who don't necessarily have the cash are falling into those traps of going, cool, I'm going to subscribe to this service and build websites using AI, only to discover a month or two later that it's not that simple, man. It'll pump out a website for you, but the website is so far from complete. Right. You've got to put up man-hours into it to get you to even handover stage. So
we're not there yet. No, there's another way to go. Yeah.
And I think, because you brought it up, I think the advice that we are kind of giving agencies is don't be afraid of AI. Use it to make you stronger. And if you're a good marketer, it'll make you a great marketer. That's the beauty of it. If you're a defeatist and you're not a good marketer, it'll probably wipe you out. And that's evolution in a way. So you've got to just
love that. Well, thank you so much for today. This recording is going to be saved in the Thrive platform. That's where we're going to have everything in the classroom area there. As you were talking, one of the things that I'm going to create, because this is the way my mind works, is I'm going to do a Google spreadsheet of those questions. And then what people can do is when they're going out to compare, maybe they're going out to shop around for 2 or 3 different resource partners, they have a Google spreadsheet ready to go, answering the questions, putting in the answers. So they build their own comparison chart. And we'll put that in as, because I'm always thinking checklists and how do I harness in my agency owners to do the tick boxing, because that's how I get a lot of things done, is having a spreadsheet and ticking things off and sitting back and going, okay, I've talked to 3 different people and this is how they compare against each other, using your questions, which have been fantastic. So I'll put that in the Thrive resource as well. I will see you inside in Thrive. Thank you so much again, and we'll talk to you soon.
I love it. Thank you so much. I will chat soon.